going back to the song part where you're thinking about, something comes on and you go back to that specific memory. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything's Okay, a mental health podcast brought to you by the one and only Crazy Ant Media. Today's going to be a fun one. I'm very excited about it because we're going to be talking all about art and music as therapy,
Yes.
because all of us have little hobbies. All of us have things that we like to do to get us out of certain moods. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to deep dive into this because we're going to talk about the power of healing, of creativity, brief background of course, art and music therapy, because therapists use this and they try to use this as a technique to try to bring people out of funks, which completely makes sense because you have a lot of things that go on in your life, and you discover a lot of self-discovery and insight about yourself, letting go of perfection, which I know is very hard for some people, including myself. But we're gonna talk about different techniques and all of these different things. But yeah, I mean, I think for you and I both, music is a big therapy thing. But I remember being very young and getting into an argument with my older brother. I was probably like 6 or 7, and I freaking just went out to the Mac Daddy stereo system when we still had that, put in a CD, and just cranked it really loud and just stood in front of it and just let the speakers just hit me in the face. I mean, music has always been that for me, and I know it has been for you as well.
Without doubt. And I'm not even gonna lie. Whenever I'm in a bad mood or I'm in a funk or I'm just not feeling it for a day, I say, Alexa, play some 80s music, and boom! I'm like right there. Cause for me, that genre of music. Now, for anybody who knows me, I'm all over the map. I mean, if you look at my Apple playlist, it's everything, literally everything. But my go-to is there. It was a great time in my life. It was and I look back at it fondly, and it's always a place that I can go that brings me happiness. And you obviously can't, that we know of, time travel. So your way back is to go to the music of that era and just feel it and groove it and and go. So yes, and it's always been, we all have, right? We all have a, if we're angry, we're listening to this. If we're happy, we're listening to this, right? It's an outlet. It's a, if you're sad, if you just broke up, you're putting on the breakup music. If you're falling in love, you're putting on the Barry White and the Whitney Houstons, and there's, it's such a great way to express your emotions publicly without
Mhm.
having to talk. People will know how you feel depending on what you're listening to, right? I mean, and sometimes that's the best therapy, not having to talk, but just getting your feelings out anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, because in the morning, like, I'm a very soft rock type of guy, just because it's a nice, cool, calm, collected, accompaniment to where I feel like I can put myself in the right headspace. But if, like, I don't know, if I'm just like itching to get going in the morning, I'll put on some like freaking dubstep or like some freaking Metallica or something just to get me going. Like, it's one of those things where it sets the precedent of the day. You know what? It could be music, it could be coffee, a morning walk, different things. As long as you set that precedent, I think it helps you carry forward through the next hours throughout the day to
Oh,
where
without
you
doubt.
can stay in that positive light, stay in that positive mood. And it's very important. But I mean, we all know that music's not the only one, because we've talked about before. I am very big on collecting vinyl records, so trying out new ones just to see what those sound like on a record player. going to the record store is also very cool. I found this nice little record store down here that, it's very laid back. The guy is not hovering over you looking for a sale, nothing like that, nothing crazy. But I know you like to draw, and that's one of the things that is a big outlet for you and distracts you from your mind. And another weird one for me too is I like just having a change jar, and if I really need a big hardcore distraction to take my mind off of whatever is going on, I'll take out the change and start counting in the quarters. I'll put them in rows of five so I can start seeing and just putting my mind and my focus on that just to completely distract me from something else.
So I'm glad you because it's a nice transition into from the music to the art, albums, because I'm
Hmm.
from that generation, right?
Yeah.
like that was the only way you were getting anything when I was young, until the cassette tape, or or the 8 track, and then the cassette, and then the CDs. But the the thought process that goes into album art and an album cover. I mean, they would these music groups and these music labels would pay a lot of money to artists to creatively come up with these covers to portray what the band was trying to say with this album. And a lot of the times the bands themselves were heavily involved in this artwork. And if you walk into any record store and I'm talking about, because there was an era where it was all just the people themselves on the cover. It was like a shot from their concert or whatever. But I'm talking about the era where if you walk in, it's like a museum. It's like a wall of art when you're looking at these albums hung on the wall. The psychedelic colors, or the rainbows, or the prisms, or the brick walls, or jellyfish. And I'm trying to think of all the crazy things that I've seen. Spaceships. On these album covers, and you think about how art plays such a role in music. I'm talking about visual art plays such a role in music, and how that even transitioned into music videos and telling stories visually along with the music, and how it just kind of all came around. In fact, some of the earliest sketches I remember drawing was drawing album covers, like copying album covers, and because they just were captivating. They were like, and at that point, some of them I wasn't even like, what the hell? I don't even know who this is. I don't know, it's mom's cover. I don't know. But I was drawn to the artwork, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Let me try to copy that. So yeah, it's one of those things. And yeah, for me, sketching is huge in my mental health. And it's funny because you can tell where I'm at emotionally by my drawing. So like if I'm in a really good mood and I'm feeling just life is happy and things are rolling and everything is kind of clicking the way I want, I can sit down and boom, boom, boom. I can knock out a sketch like boom. Maybe even 3 or 4, like boom, boom, boom. If I'm not in a good place mentally, if something's off, if I'm struggling, I can't draw. I can't draw. The creative outlet is not there because the mind is clouded. I can sit down. I still have the same talent. It's the same hand with the same pencil with the same brain, but I cannot produce the same art. And that's all in here. It's all mental. And so and you can see in my drawings where I'm at. You can, I'm drawing a romantic Lady in the Tramp sharing the spaghetti if I'm happy, and I'm drawing a brooding Batman that looks like he wants to fucking kill you if I'm not in a great mood. So it's a nice way for me to just, again, like the music, tell you how I'm feeling without having to say. Just look at what I'm showing you. This is how I'm feeling right now. That's all you need to know. And so, but it does, because I can let out anger. I can just scribble, or I can draw something and then intensely shade it or darken it I can let out frustration or happiness on that art pad. And that's like, it is a nice sense of relief to be able to do that. And sometimes I even incorporate both. Sometimes I'll put on the music that I'm feeling and then go to town on a drawing. The other day I drew well, it was a growling dog. It was like an angry dog, and I was listening to Murder Graham Do. I was just feeling it. I'm like, hello, Cool J and Eminem telling me about how I'm gonna go fucking kill somebody, basically, and I'm just drawing this badass mean dog. I was just in the mood. I was just feeling that, and yet by being able to translate that, then I was happy. Then I felt good. It was like, I don't have to brood the whole day. I don't have to be unhappy the whole day. I'm just going to focus this anger or whatever the frustration was that day. I don't even remember now. And it all came out, and then boom, move on. Good to go. Good to go. So yeah, it's amazing how it works and why therapists use it.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's always very interesting too, because like we talk about a lot about not sitting in the past and moving
Yeah.
forward, but there's no problem. Like there's nothing wrong with reminiscing.
No.
And I feel like especially with music, it gives you a time to reminisce about certain things that happen. I remember when freaking like I was a certain age listening to a certain song and it takes me right back to being in my first car, being with my friends, being an adolescent just trying to stay out of trouble. Or I remember when the first time I heard Purple Rain on a freaking road trip out to California. And like, that's really when I got into Prince and like all of these different things. So, I mean, there's certain songs that just bring you back to such positive light. But then there are certain songs that bring you back to negative stuff, whether that be a passing of someone, because I know you have a couple of those. So it's hard to listen to some songs sometimes, but then it's also like so relieving to listen to a song sometimes because like if I was grumpy, I remember being just like super mad at my boss, and I just freaking remember putting on Motley Crue "Shout at the Devil," and I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
just being able to let it out. So it's very interesting how like art and music and different avenues like hobbies, taking pictures, or like it brings things out of you. It brings different thoughts out of you. And I think what's special about it is, it puts you in the position to think differently,
Mm-hmm.
because we all do get into our routines to where like we're doing the same things every day. We're doing X, Y, and Z, coming home, cooking dinner, chilling out, going to bed, but if you put that little extra step into it, sit down, listen to an album while I'm getting a foot massage, or like, go outside, freaking smoke a cigar and listen to a new album, something along those lines. Like it helps you think about making different memories. I think that is a big thing that art and music definitely helps you do. It helps you become it makes more memories to where you can continue moving forward and look back and be like, okay, this is how I got over that. This is
Mm-hmm.
how I was able to move forward. So I think that's very special. I know there's certain things to where like I remember the freaking song that was playing before I proposed to Emily. It's different things like that. So I think that's why it's so special. And I think that's why we hold it so near and dear to our heart. Even like it doesn't even matter what type of genre you're listening to, it being able to have that specific song or that specific album that you're like, this is what hits home. This is what makes me feel at peace. This is what makes me feel me. This is what helps me get over anger. I think that's what's most special about using, it's probably a different part of your brain, using this part of my brain to be able to get over the things that I was harping on before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, one, you're welcome for Prince.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anytime you hear the extended version, the full on version of Purple Rain, you immediately become a Prince fan. You can't not become a Prince
Oh
fan
yeah.
with that. Man is a genius. Yeah, it's so funny that you say that because I have three very specific songs that trigger moments in my life that are very important to me, and every time I hear them, it's and they're all very different songs,
Hmm.
and so yeah, one is sad, and one is uh a gift of what was given, and the other one is a lost love, and the constant reminder of the lost love. And so it's three very different musics. It's very different songs with all very different meanings, but all hold something. Each time one of those songs comes on, I stop and I will listen to the whole thing. I will. It just puts me in a groove, and even though they're all very different, so yeah, that's it's definitely amazing. But you're right. I feel like there's a go-to song and or genre that, depending on how you're feeling, that's where you're going. I think that's
Right.
probably true for everybody, whether you're on a road trip in a car or whether you're just, there is inevitably a song to express how you're feeling at the moment. And you find it. You just know it. Everybody has that song. This is how I'm feeling today. This is my song. And yeah, it's so crazy. And then for me too, I get very relaxed with. I talked about my process of drawing and sketching and that, but I also get really into a really nice state of mind just admiring art.
Yeah.
I like to go to museums and look at art, whether it's
Hmm.
sculptures or paintings or whatever type of art that it is that I'm looking at, pottery. There's something about it that I just get drawn into, and I think for me, it's the idea of there's no such thing as perfect art. It's always interpretive. So
Hmm.
it gets me in the mindset that there's no such thing as a perfect life. You are never going to do everything perfectly. Nothing in your life is ever going to go the perfect way. And that doesn't mean that your life is not beautiful or that it's a beautiful thing that you're in or a beautiful thing that you're doing. Because if you look at every piece of art, you will find the imperfections. You'll find them. If you look at a painting long enough, if you look at a piece of pottery long enough, you will find an imperfection. And yet, that piece is beautiful. And I feel like it gets me into that mindset of life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. And that's what art does for me. And it's just one of those, it's why I like, and that goes to our filmmaking, right? Our story doesn't have to be perfect. Our film doesn't have, it's just a way to tell a story, to say what we're feeling at the moment that we're feeling it, and then it's out there for the world to interpret. And that is beautiful because everybody who watches it is going to see something different. And that's a beautiful thing. And so that's art. And then putting that art, and music is a huge part of that art because it's a very specific music we put to that art, to that story. And so, yeah, man, the whole process, it's probably where, when we're in our creative zones, is where I'm my happiest. Like, truly.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I was thinking about the other day, going back to the song part where you're thinking about, something comes on and you go back to that specific memory because I know you have a very deep connection with the song American Pie, and I know you translate a lot with your brother. But even in conversations that I've had with Emily, she reminisces about, a time that y'all were in the pool and it started raining and it was singing American Pie and y'all were
Yes.
just belting that shit. So, I mean, it's always so funny that you think about certain songs and certain memories
Oh,
because like freaking that one 30 Seconds to Mars song about Jared Leto moving out to LA and
yeah.
freaking I just remember us driving down the freaking beach in fucking Malibu
Malibu.
and
Yeah.
we were just blaring that shit and it was just like it was crazy, man. I mean, I think that's what's most important. The reason you do these hobbies, the reason you listen to music in different ways, and the reason you try to distract yourself is so that you can make good memories that replace bad memories. The bad memories are always going to be there, but you're wanting the bigger memory or that happier memories to hold more weight than the bad memories, which I know sometimes is hard to do, but it's one of those things where it's all about choice. I mean, it sucks to hear that sometimes, but you do have a choice. You have a choice to either put forth the effort to be happy, and it's okay not to put forth the choice and have a down day. But make sure you don't have so many down days to where you're sitting in that down day. Like you're more than willing to have your feelings. You're more than willing to go through certain situations, and everybody takes time, but you don't want that time to be the rest of your life. I think
No.
that's the biggest thing. So to be able to correlate things with positive memories rather than sad memories, I think is what's most important. And I try to think back on, I said music when I was a kid when I was listening to stuff. But I would really like to play with action figures, come up with my own stories with different things. I was big into Pirates of the Caribbean. So I had this big freaking boat that I could buy all the Pirates of the Caribbean action figures, and it was big into wrestling too. So I didn't care. WWE met Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, and everybody's kind of crossing
Yeah.
battles, and like it's one of those things where distraction is key. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned over the years too. Distraction is key because distraction helps you move forward. And I mean that's a big thing, to be able to do that. So I think that's freaking awesome. Do you have anything as a kid that you remember that would get you distracted to where you could move past things?
Uh, Comic books.
Yeah.
Comic books. That was my distraction. Whenever I was having any kind of a bad day or I needed to escape for a little bit, I would dive into the world of comic books. It
Yeah.
was a lot of people, they joke about that, or they have comments about, ooh, comic book geek, you're in the basement, whatever. But look, there's a reason why when I was in first grade, I was reading at eighth grade levels. And by the time I was actually in fifth or sixth grade, I was testing at college level, because those books were filled with legit words, right? And you
Yeah.
had to figure out when they're talking about cosmic rays and science, you got to figure the shit out to understand the story. So even at 5, 6 years old, I'm going, let me tell you how space works, right? So it was for me, it was that escape though. It was art, right? I'm looking at these amazing pictures and all these cool characters, and I'm seeing this story, and it's like this crazy out of this world story. And so for me, it was always an escape there, which wholeheartedly played into what we do now with the
Oh
storytelling
yeah.
and making movies and the art and the of course it does. I'm just sitting here thinking about when you brought that up with Emily, and yeah, that day with that song. You know, I say all the time that she reminds me so much of Joe. So the fact that that song means something to her too, and that she also knows. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, this thing's damn near a 9-minute song. It's like an 8.5 minute, 9 minute
Yeah.
song. It's like one of the longest recorded songs in history. And to know every word, every line, like spot on, not easy. Yeah, it's a great memory with her. It's a great memory with him, and yeah, it's just one of those things where like yeah, that was a good memory. That was a really good. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a really good day and a really good moment. And then there's another one where if it comes on, she hates me and she can't stand me, with always something there to remind me.
Yeah, she does not like that
She
song.
hates that song, but it's a trigger for me. It's one of the 3 songs that I'm talking about. And what's so funny is it always makes me feel really good, except that's the trigger song about the lost love that never
Yeah.
could be. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be miserable hearing this song. It's like it reminds me every place I go, I see you. Every song I hear, it reminds me of you. Every cafe I go to, we went there, and you're supposed to be miserable, but no, I fucking love the song. I'm like, I crank it up. It's like, this is my fucking I hate you song, but I love it. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just so crazy. But yeah, if you ever want to, piss Emily off, play that song
Oh, for sure.
over and over and over again. Yeah, dude, it's just, yeah, songs and memories. I have one with my old dog who passed, Wolvie,
Yeah.
and it's a great memory with my little brother too, and some friends of ours, and so Wolvie would like go ballistic when I would walk 500 miles. You remember that
Mm-hmm.
song? And the
Yeah.
part where it goes da 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 da. She'd go full in. She'd just like just all in. So we would take road trips and we would crank that song and just going down the road and the three of us are saying ba-da-da-da, and people looking in the car and the dog is like and I'm just like, it was so it's one of the best times ever. And she never failed. If that song came on, she could be in a dead sleep. That dog will wake up and start I'm just like, this is brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah, just little things like that, though, right? Just the
Mm-hmm.
little sparks. And yeah, that Malibu trip with I Am Home. Oh, such a. And it's funny because it was never about LA being home. It was about
Mm-hmm.
finding our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We found home. We found where we were meant to be. But that's not the locale, right? So it's how you interpret the art. That song was never about the physical locale. It was about the purpose of where we were meant to be. And that yeah, man, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
It is, yeah, because I mean, I think about it all the time, with all the certain situations that's happened this past 5 years. Like, I think, it grew us as partners, it grew us as, father and son-in-law. It helped Emily and I grow a lot as in a relationship. It helped us get closer to family. It helped me meet y'all's family more and be more invested in their lives. So I think like we've talked about before, I mean, things happen for a reason.
Oh
And,
yeah.
we've learned so much throughout the years. And to be able to take that and carry that on and pass that along one day, I think is very important too, because you never know what's going to happen.
No.
And like you said before, like it's not our plan, it's somebody else's plan, and we're just along for the ride. And but patience is the biggest thing. So being able to find these different avenues to help you start to change your frame of mind is so important because yeah, correlating certain things with certain memories, it helps and hurts at the same time. But such is life, man. Such is life. It helps and hurts at the same time.
Well, and that's the beauty of it, right? Because, like you said, life is finite, it's not forever.
Hmm.
But music and art is. So those
Yeah.
memories will carry on forever and can be generational and pass to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. So, in a sense, we are infinite because I will carry on through the memories that we have made and that you will make and then they will make and so
Hmm.
that art and that music and those memories keep people in life forever and keep that alive, and that's got to be the most beautiful thing about it, because for something to carry on through the generations, it is something really special, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. One more funny story before we hop off here, but freaking, I remember the day that I knew I was supposed to do something in the entertainment industry and how much movies meant to me. I was a senior in high school, and it was before I had even started thinking about filmmaking. I knew I wanted to do something greater than just a regular 9 to 5. I knew I was supposed to do something. But just normal weekend day, hanging out with friends. We were planning to go see American Sniper,
Mm.
and I've always been early to movies. I don't care. I'll sit there for a half hour before the freaking screen comes on. And everybody was taking their time, running late. It got to the point where like the 20-minute movie theater, like, so the movie theater was 20 minutes away and the movie started in 30 minutes, and no, like, some people were ready, some people weren't, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking leave y'all. I don't care. I will leave you
Yeah.
so I can go see this movie. Like, it's so funny because that specific movie, every time I think about American Sniper, I think about that, me just being like very passionate about that. Like, I think that's cool too, just finding your passion. And I mean, you can have multiple passions.
Oh,
I mean, don't limit
absolutely.
yourself to one. I mean, that's what we've been talking about, different hobbies, taking pictures, drawing, music, like finding different passions, things that fill you with joy.
Yep.
That's what life's all about. So you can continue moving forward and so you can be happy and spread the happiness. And, one comment about someone like can make or break somebody's day.
Oh,
So to be
without
able to
doubt.
be nice is like the biggest thing.
Yeah, man, and I'm sitting here now reminiscing about all these different things, and like one of the greatest memories that I have, and it has to do with both filmmaking and music and Emily, is when she came home. She so back in the day when she was young, y'all, for anybody listening, she would play the violin. She used to play the violin, and she came home and she was practicing, and then she was out in the living room practicing, and I hear it, and she plays it, and it's the Superman theme song. Din, 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 din. And I fucking was in tears. I'm like, oh my God, let me I gotta record this. Like, cause that's the movie. That was the movie that inspired it all for me. And that theme song forever brings that spark. So to see my baby girl playing that song, it was just so emotional for me. I was like, oh my God, play it again, play it again, play it again, which she hated, but she did. She played it so I could get it. And it just, when I'm having a bad day, sometimes I go and I find that video and I just watch that video, and the inspiration just comes flying back to me about, we're having this didn't work out on the film that day. We didn't get this location, or I'm struggling to get this done, or the financing. And I go and I watch that video of her playing that, and I remember why I do it and what it's all about and what inspired me. And it's to be able to do that. Just so good. So good.
It is. It is. It's all about finding your thing, man. Find your thing. So please be sure to try to find your thing, because there's so many different things out there.
I think I know where it's at.
I think I found it. It's right there. But yes, man. Oh man, what a fun conversation.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's all about moving forward, continuing being happy. Glass is always half full. Please, everyone, always remember that. It's always half full, and it's always good to remember that everything's okay.